Welcome to Sliver and Bite TV. Let's make Espagnole sauce, one of the 5 French mother sauces. Brilliant just as it is, or transformed into a mushroom, demi-glaze or burgundy sauce. For a condensed version of this recipe, click the banner above now. I've already roughly chopped my garlic, now finely chopping my onion. There are varied versions of this recipe where you would roughly chop and leave the ingredients quite large. However, I'm chopping my ingredients quite fine. This will increase the surface area and allow more of the taste and nutrients of the vegetables to go into that beef stock. Now for the celery, just cutting down the rib of the celery and then turning it around to dice it. And the same for the carrot. A little magic trick here, if only it was this easy. Make sure you wedge the knife into the carrot before cutting all the way through, because you don't want that to slip out from underneath you. And it doesn't matter how small you cut your ingredients, because it's going to go through a fine mesh sieve anyway. So why not? Why not allow the vegetables to dance around the pot instead of big chunks? So when you go to add in your stock at a later stage, it needs to be warm or hot. So I'm just going to bring this to the boil now and then leave it on the stove behind me, ready to add to my mirepoix at a later stage. In a large, heavy-based pot, able to hold at least 7 litres, put in your butter and melt down. Then add in your carrot and onion. On a medium heat, we're going to saute this for up to 8 minutes just to release those flavors. Every now and then you'll see me shaking the pot. That's just making sure that it's distributed evenly across the bottom of the pot. And don't forget to stir every minute or so. Then sprinkle over your plain flour and mix in well. This will sit on a low to medium heat for another 5 to 6 minutes. You'll see that the flour that you've just put in will start to brown just a little. If you keep it on for too long, the vegetables will end up turning to mush, and we don't quite want that. One last stir, and then we're in with the beef stock. As you'll see, it will steam up quite a bit, so sorry that you won't be able to see the very beginning of it. You'll see that I've moved to a whisk because the wooden spoon would, 1, splash the liquid everywhere, and 2, you really want to get a handle on all of that plain flour that you put in, and you don't want that to seize up and clump. For filming purposes, I kept blowing the steam away. I was so lightheaded, I thought I was going to faint. Now add in the celery. Tomato puree. Garlic, whole peppercorns and bay leaves. Give that a stir, and we're going to leave that on simmer for 45 minutes, or unless you see it reducing quite drastically, then probably up to 20 minutes. Got quite a nice rolling simmer here. And when stirring, make sure you're doing it in a figure 8. This way it introduces as much surface area to itself, and it's an actual good stir. Stirring it in a circle moves it at the same pace, so it's essentially sitting still. You can see how thick the mixture is getting now. When we get to this stage and you're starting to see the bigger bubbles, it is moments away from thickening too much. So I've taken it off the heat now, and I've got my large jug and fine mesh sieve, and then just pouring a little bit in, and you will see that I will use my spatula to move that around from the bottom so that you're not mashing the vegetables into the strainer. And you can see that liquid gold dripping through. And at this stage, it could be ready to use. This is a great gravy to put on essentially everything, but goes really well with beef. So, I'm going to cook off some beef fillets. And I've just got some garlic, thyme, a bit of olive oil and some butter in this. I'm going to baste that over. And don't throw out this butter and oil, because I can add that to the mushroom sauce I'm going to make, and it adds a little bit more of that beef flavor into the gravy, and I found it actually to be quite sweet. So just melting off some butter, putting in some beech mushrooms. Beech mushrooms grow on the side of a beech tree, B-E-E-C-H, and they have a lovely nutty quality. You'll see that I put some of the runoff from the cooking the steaks into this pot. I will strain out a lot of this mixture, otherwise it is only going to split the gravy. So I've strained off 3/4 of that mixture, that butter and oil mixture. And now just adding in the Espagnole sauce and mixing around, just bringing it to a light sizzle. And that's off to the side, ready to plate up. Accompanying my steaks, I have some Brussels sprouts and some corn. And first up, I'm going to pour on generously the Espagnole sauce. Garnish it with some chives. And for the second steak, some mushroom sauce. Espagnole sauce is an amazing base, and again, very similar to velvety, quite an underrated gravy. It is well worth knowing how to make this, because you could make it ahead of time and it'll keep for a good 3 days. Thanks for joining me. See you soon.